Hello everyone and welcome to a new lesson. So for today we have a new person to talk about and his name is Nelson Mandela. While we're watching the videos today, I want us to talk about these 6 questions. So number 1, how many years did he spend in prison? Because he was in prison for so many years. Number 2, at what age did he become president of Africa? Number 3, at what age did he die? Number 4, what did he fight for? Number 5, was his family rich or poor? And number 6, I want us to use one word. Nelson Mandela was a blank. So keep these questions in mind while we watch this video.
Explain how Nelson Mandela fought for equality and freedom. Today, Nelson Mandela is one of the best-known role models in the fight against oppression and racial segregation. In 1993, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his achievements. But what exactly did he do to fight for a more just and free world? On July 18, 1918, when Mandela was born, his father gave him the name Shasha, which means something like troublemaker. A coincidence or a sign of things to come? Mandela grew up in a traditional Xhosa clan before going to an English-speaking boarding school. That was where he first got the name Nelson. At law school, he fought actively against the South African system of racial segregation known as apartheid, which was even written into the law. Mandela joined the ANC, a party that advocated for black Africans' rights. Although Mandela initially believed in peaceful protest, he changed his mind in favor of armed resistance. After the ANC was banned, Mandela's struggle went underground. But Mandela couldn't hide forever. In 1962, he was arrested and sentenced to life in prison as a terrorist. Although some Western politicians supported his imprisonment, more and more people around the world advocated for his release. In 1990, South Africa's new president, Frederick de Klerk, gave in and set the troublemaker free. 4 years later, Nelson Mandela ran for office in the country's first democratic election and was voted in as South Africa's very first black president. Considering himself the president of all South Africans, he united the country that had been divided along racial lines.
So this is very important as one of his achievements. He was the first black president of Africa, and what he did is he joined the two countries together because the country was divided between, as you can see, the whites and the blacks.
One of the ways Mandela did this was through sports, such as rugby, which the black population rejected as a sport of apartheid. When South Africa hosted the Rugby World Cup and won the final, Mandela gave the team captain a congratulatory hug in front of millions of viewers, an enormous gesture of reconciliation. Whether through his efforts for the Soccer World Cup or his foundation against AIDS, even after leaving politics, Mandela remained dedicated to his country.
Okay, another video that I want to show you is this video.
Things you should know about Nelson Mandela. July 18, 1918 to December 5, 2013. Apartheid system of South Africa was a written law that discriminated on the basis of color. It set boundaries that banned Native Africans, or blacks, from entering white neighborhood. Mandela was the man who drove apartheid away and rose to become the global voice of human rights. Born into a family with royal roots, his
So, to answer one of the questions, was he rich or was he poor? He was born into a royal family, which means that his family was rich.
Father being the main counselor to the Thembu king, Mandela was destined to be a leader. But nobody imagined he would lead an anti-apartheid movement or become the first black president in South Africa. He was named Rola Lala by his parents, but his teacher gave him an English name, Nelson, which stayed on till the end.
So we saw what his real name was, and his teacher was the one who changed his name and gave him an English name of Nelson.
He was the first to attend school and college in his family. He was sent to prison a number of times for joining hands with the SACP, South African Communist Party. He conducted protests against apartheid.
So what is a protest? A protest is when people go down to the streets and fight for what they want. So just like Martin Luther King, he also conducted many protests that fought for freedom and civil rights.
Mahatma Gandhi's successful nonviolent approach was a great inspiration to him. In 1964, he alone was sentenced to life imprisonment. This judgment found opposition from all corners of the world.
So if you noticed, he was sentenced to life prison, which means imprisonment for the rest of his life. Now, how many years did he actually stay in prison? It was 27 years. Imagine, 27 years in prison.
People were angry with Mandela's sentence. There were protests all across the globe against his arrest. His 70th birthday in 1988 was celebrated at Wembley Stadium in London as a campaign for his release.
So after he was released, because all the people went down to the streets and was fighting for him to be released, he celebrated his birthday there in London.
Freedom Fest. Mandela was freed in 1990. He became the first black president of South Africa in 1994 at the age of 76.
So at what age was he a president? At age of 76, imagine. At 76, after 27 years in prison, he became the president at the age of 76.
He was married 3 times. His second and third wife are political activists in their own right. All his 6 children, 4 from his first marriage and 2 from the second.
Okay, so let's go back to the questions. How many years did he spend in prison? The answer is, I hope you are writing. The answer is 27 years old. 27 years in prison. Okay. At what age did he become the president of Africa? At 76. At what age did he die? We still don't know that. And what did he fight for? He fought for, as usual, civil rights and freedom. Was his family rich or poor? They were rich. And Nelson Mandela was we will see in the next video. So this is just to show you the prison where he was.
There were painful moments.
This is him.
Because the apartheid regime was an expert in persecuting people psychologically.
Mandela always said he came out of prison a different man. What was it about life on Robben Island that changed him?
Well, the fact that you could sit alone and think gave us a wonderful opportunity to change ourselves, your behavior. I felt quite ashamed because I became busy with politics and with law, and I forgot that the people were very kind to me. When I arrived in Johannesburg, and I said, if I ever get a chance of coming out, as I was sure I would eventually, no matter after how long.
Okay, so I don't know if you noticed what he said. He said, the question was, what did you learn? Or how were you changed? He said, just the fact that I was alone in prison, just being alone gave me the opportunity to think and to change. So I'm going to ask you a question. Are you scared of being alone? Is silence scary for you? Sometimes being alone makes you think and makes you want to change and makes you want to improve your life and to realize things around you. I will show you a few more things. This is him at the stadium.
I, Nelson Mandela, do hereby swear to be faithful to the Republic of South Africa.
In May 1994, Nelson Mandela, the man white South Africa had imprisoned for nearly 30 years, was sworn in as the country's first black president. Through his dignified and courageous leadership, the African National Congress had broken the stranglehold of apartheid and transformed South Africa into a multiracial democracy.
Okay, so what I want you to get out of this is that he became the first black president of South America, and as you notice, he is shaking the hand of a white person. So he actually joined the country together, and he joined the white people with the black people. Lastly, I want to show you this video over here. By the way, this is the prison where he was. This was on Robben Island. The last thing that I want to show you is his interview with Oprah Winfrey. She is a very well-known speaker, and she has her own TV show. She interviewed Nelson Mandela not a lot of time back.
You are not modest, but a very humble man. I wanted to ask, because I think that is the characteristic that stands out for you above all of them, that you are a peacemaker inside yourself. And how do we begin, those of us who aren't leading countries but are just leading our own lives, leading our families, come to a sense of truth and reconciliation with ourselves to be a peacemaker? How do you do that?
The first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself. And one of the most important weapons in changing yourself is to recognize that people everywhere in the world want peace. But humility is one of the most important qualities which you must have. Because if you are humble, if you make people realize that you are no threat to them, then people will embrace you.
Okay. So her question was, how are you able to be a peacemaker? How are you able to be humble? And his answer, very, very important answer, and even Jesus talks about this answer in the Bible, is if you are a peaceful person, if you are a peacemaker, people will listen to you. If you fight and you are angry and you fight with people and you are aggressive, people will not listen to you. And he also said, you have to be humble. Humble يعني متواضع. You have to be humble. You have to show humility, okay? And you have to realize that you have to change yourself before changing other people. So, the question here, at what age did Nelson Mandela die? He died at the age of 95 after suffering from a respiratory infection. So here I can answer 95. And Nelson Mandela was a peacemaker. Very important word, peacemaker. I know this has been a very long video, but for your homework, I want you to read this story and I want you to answer these questions. Okay, don't take a picture of them, just answer them, and we will continue the story tomorrow.